Hi, welcome to the live chat at BurgZerg Arcade. I believe this is the 8th one. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll go with it. The chat is down today. At least the streaming part. Mivit just came up and I can't seem to get the chat bot logged in to capture the chat. So I apologize in advance for that, but I do have the chat window open. If you're in chat, I do see it. You can either go on to the Justin TV chat or use the one on the website, which is provided by Mivit. Either one will work. So I wanted to start off, if there are there any questions? Okay, well, let's move on to the first announcement. I'm going to start trying to make the live show a weekly thing. Now, I had put a poll up at the side. I'm sure everyone's seen it, on what day you would actually like the live chat. And shortly after putting that up, I was talking to my wife, and it looks like she's going to be able to get Thursday night off work every week. Now, Thursday was not the popular day. But it does seem to be the day that I'll actually have someone actually here to watch my kid while I do this. And it's just too hard to do it with my son here at the same time. Either he's in the background making a lot of noise, or he's running around just destroying bookshelves and stuff. So we're going to see. I voted for Saturday myself as well. But being able to have my wife here to watch my son while I'm doing this, it makes it so much easier. And of course, they are recorded. So if you do miss it, it will be recorded, and you can watch it on either YouTube or on the site as well. The iTunes channel. I'm going to stop uploading anything that is not a tutorial to iTunes, since iTunes at most seems to only list the last 200. If I get rid of everything that isn't a tutorial, it'll make it a lot easier for people to find stuff. Anytime we have a big event for the live show, either an interview or just anything bigger than the regular live stream like we have right now, I'm going to go ahead and do Facebook events. So if you're a friend of ours on Facebook, you'll get I think it's called an event. Yeah, it's an event on Facebook. And on YouTube, it's called a broadcast. I'll also send out a broadcast on YouTube. And I'll also do Twitter. I didn't write it down here, but if you follow me on Twitter, I'll send out a tweet about that as well. And all those accounts are on the website here underneath the Follow Us tab. You can get to my Facebook, for the website, YouTube, and the Twitter. So as long as you're subscribed to one of them, and of course I'll keep posting at the top of the site here. If you don't come and check the site every day, you might miss it. So, like I said, just subscribe to one of these and you'll get it. So YouTube has started doing allowing people to do live shows. Now, I have not been invited to do the live shows. I'm probably pretty small down on their partners list. And that's fine. But from the documentation that I have received, it looks like they're going to try to get at least the majority of their partners in, or at least allow them to do it by the end of the year. So I'm kind of looking forward to do that. Right now, it doesn't look like you can embed it into your own website, so that means we'd have to do it on Ustream, or sorry, not Ustream, on YouTube. But it looks pretty decent. If you go over there and look, I believe it's just live.youtube.com, or it could be youtube.com/live. If you Google it, you'll find it. But it looks pretty good. They're recording, I've seen 240p and 360. So it's the standard resolutions for YouTube. I haven't seen anything higher, so I don't know if they support HD recording, but even at 360, it'll be fine. I'm going to skip this one to the end. Let me just mark some of these off. Okay, Singletons. We went over Singletons in our last video. Are there any questions about it? Because I know I did go over it quite quickly. They can come pretty handy later on. And I did toil with covering it now or covering it later, but there's just so many more things we can do a little bit later on with Singletons that I really did want to cover it now. Kind of basically just for me, it gives me a little bit more I guess scope that I can go in when I'm creating the tutorials. So everyone understood the basics of a singleton, right? There's still a few, well, still quite a few more things we got to do with the singleton, but they're not that hard. We'll want to set up some sort of a initialized variable, so when we're calling, we can just check, to see if it's initialized. If it is initialized, then we can use it. If not, it'll initialize itself. Like right now, we're just loading up our character mesh at when it's being initialized, or I guess in this case, it's when it's being instanced. But we actually want to move that out to a function, because there's going to be times where we want to have a copy of our character, but we don't actually want the geometry that goes along with it, or any of the meshes, I guess I should say. Like for instance, our character generation scene. You might want to have, your character there, but you don't want to see anything. So instead of just turning everything off, we'll just won't load any of that stuff up. So Singleton's done. I do actually have a couple interviews lined up for this month, or maybe not necessarily for this month, but I do have a couple people that are willing to do interviews. I'm still talking to them. We got to kind of hammer out a time, but there are a couple coming. And people that are posting pirated links on the site, either asking for copies of stuff or posting links to where other people can get it, don't do it. I'm just going to ban you. And I don't care if you've bought the scripts and you're regularly downloading and everything else. If you start doing listing stuff or just dealing anything with piracy, I'm just going to ban your account. So keep that in mind. Any questions yet? If you have any questions, just type them up in chat. Okay, I have a new weekly poll that I'm going to be putting up. And it's going to be on what topic you want to cover next. So while I'm finishing up this whole loading up of the character meshes and materials, I'm going to put a poll up when I start to get close to the end. And I'm going to list, like 3 or 4 different areas we can go to next that I'm ready to do. And I'll let people vote on it. Yeah, spells could be one of them. We can start off with spell effects and, spell classes. And we'll go from there. So I'll list, 3 or 4 different options, maybe 5, depending, what I'm ready for. And people can vote on it, and whatever gets the most votes by the time I'm ready will be what I go to next. Then, of course, once I start getting to the end of that, I'll repost the poll, and people can reset their vote and pick what they want. Because I get tons of email every week on people that are like, when are you going to cover this? When are you going to cover that? When are you going to revisit this here? And it's, I don't really have that much time to do a whole lot. Like February, I was sick twice. So I was sick pretty much all of February, so we didn't do a whole lot. And March, I pretty much had to catch up on outside work. So starting fresh this month in April, it's basically like, to me, this is like February now. So for those people who remember back in February when I was sick all the time, I'm finally starting to get caught up in all my work. That's pretty much everything I wanted to go over. Let me see. Stuff that I do have written down that we're going to be covering. I have load values. I have a bug in the player movement script. Well, it's not really a bug. I have it set to jump when you release the space bar, and I would like it to be when you press the space bar, it jumps. So instead of just, instead of get mouse down, get mouse up, or sorry, get button down, get button up. Small fix. In my demo, I screwed up because I've been playing with the water a lot, and I removed the collider from the water so that my player's not swimming anymore. Quick fix there. And I noticed in chat when I came downstairs last night that someone was talking about if they equip a weapon, and then when they unequip the weapon and they hover over the equipment spot, it still shows the stats for the old weapon. So that's something that I've got to fix. So those are the first 3 things on my list. Now, as far as the player swimming goes, since I've already gone over how to do that, and that's a mistake on my project because, like I said, I was playing around with the different waters, and I just deleted the collider. I'm not going to do a tutorial on that. But I'll probably slip in the on key down, on key up thing really quickly at the end of one of the other videos, or at the beginning of one. And the unique weapon one should only be about one tutorial. Not even. That's probably another one I'll probably just slip it at the beginning of a tutorial. But that was pretty much all I wanted to talk about. Like I said, if there's any questions out there. The developers of Be Gone, which is a FPS, your basic shooter style game, they emailed me a message, and they were talking about their game. Now, they're not ready for an interview. Let me just head on over there. I did post a video on the front page. Now, I haven't actually gone to try their game, but their videos on YouTube actually look really well. It looks... Well, I'll let you decide. I'm not really an FPS sort of guy, so I tend to be pretty biased, but the game itself does look visually very striking. The lighting looks really good. Can't seem to get to the website. Oh, so you liked it? Okay, for those watching at home or watching the recording, someone said they have tried it and they liked it. So are the graphics really good all the way through? Now it looked like they had a few different modes of play. Only one map? Well, for that style of game, a bit laggy. Well, it looked very, like I said, visually, the visual quality was really good, so I can imagine there's probably a bit of lag. I'm not sure if they have settings or not. I was reading on the forums for a post that was made for the game from one of the developers, and they were talking about having quality settings, so I'm not sure if they've implemented them or not. I guess we'll just wait a little bit longer till it's further along, and then maybe they'll come on the show and talk about some of the stuff they had to do to get the game out and going. Yeah. I don't think I've really... Has anyone used Playmaker? I know someone's been posting about Playmaker on the site. I have not used Playmaker. I've looked at their videos. I've just never been into the whole visual coding thing. But I can understand for someone coming from, let's say, an art background that isn't interested in learning how to code, or at least does not want to get that involved into it, how something like that could be really productive for them. Now, my wife's actually starting to get a little interested in game design, but she does not want to script at all. She doesn't want to have anything to do with scripting. She doesn't want to ask me to have to write scripts for her. So, but she wanted to make these little games that I've been making on my iPhone for my son. So I started looking around, and I found out that Game Salad, a free application, it's Mac only, but it's a free application that can actually export your games to the iPhone. So I kind of thought that was really cool, so I'm slowly setting her up with that. She's still getting used to the whole Mac environment, but it shouldn't take that long. The fact that you just basically drag and drop everything, I watched a few tutorials on it. It looks really simple. So hopefully we'll have a few things on Game Salad soon. And for those that actually do have a Mac, and I suggest checking it out. It's nowhere near as powerful as Unity, obviously. It's 2D only, but like I said, it's just so simple. And you can make games on there that are like Doodle Jump or Angry Birds or something like that. Something that's not overly complex, but addictive. Could easily be made on Game Salad. And probably pretty quickly. I still have stuff to go back and revisit in my camera script, but there's not that much left I want to do. Stop the camera from going through the ground. I want to have, probably raycasting is what I'll use to have my camera always position itself at the best angle possible for my character. I don't really like cameras that spin around a lot on their own. What I tend to do is if I'm moving, say I'm backing up and there's a wall behind me, what I like is for my camera to kind of move in closer to me to the point where it becomes like a first person camera. And then of course as I move away from the wall it comes back. I don't really like it when like my camera swings around me, personally. So when I do my camera, it'll probably just move in and out and up and down on its own. I won't be spinning around. Of course, you can also, I still have it set right now where you can spin the camera around, but I have it snapping back to where it's supposed to be by default. I still have to revisit that code so it doesn't snap back by default. But other than that, the camera's, I think, pretty much done. It'll stop it from going through the ground, which again, when we add raycasting, we'll be fixing all that. So basically raycasting and camera not resetting when you move it around. And that shouldn't be too bad. Probably, 5 tutorials for that at most. Depends how in depth I go into raycasting. Now, occlusion culling is something I use, but the parameters, if you're talking about the Unity 3D, the occlusion culling, it's so basic. Like there's only a few parameters that you can use. I'm probably not going to be covering it. Well, I shouldn't say not. It'll be at the very end. There's 4 parameters for it. And then you just hit bake and you walk away and come back like an hour later. Okay. I just use the one built into Unity. Now I'm not sure if occlusion culling in the one that's built into Unity, if it's free or if it's pro only. It looks like it might be pro only. Okay. Well, it might be something to look at then for people who don't have pro. But it'll be further on. Well, considering my tutorial scene is just a big island, I'm not too worried about occlusion culling that much. Because all you're really going to be the train occluding, with the free version, the stuff that you get with the train itself, should be more than enough. Whenever I have spare time, there is no set schedule. I used to say 1 a week every Friday, and I've obviously broken from that. I put several out every week. Mostly it's when I have time, and most of my time constraints really, it's at night when my wife's home and she's able to watch the sun and I can be down here without him crawling on me or smacking the mic. I have this big boom mic that I use for the tutorials. And he just loves to smack that. There's a few tutorials I didn't bother using it because he was down here being quiet and I just used the mic built into the iMac. But the one built into the iMac does pick up a lot of, like, if I drop my pen on the desk, it picks that up. So I prefer using my boom mic because it really does cut out all the surrounding noise. So if my son's upstairs running around playing, you can't hear him.